Do you want to learn how to architect your Flutter code according to the BLoC pattern in the most efficient and the most easiest way possible? Then this is the right video for you. Hi, my name is Akash Divya and you are watching Baddest Developer Club. Let's get started. First thing, what do you mean by BLoC? BLoC is simply short for business logic and components. Business logic here is function, the magic behind the development, the codes, anything like doing something. And the components are UI widgets, which we see on the screen, just the visual part of it. So in BLoC pattern, we try to separate the business logic from the components. So if we need to change any of it, it does not affect the other. How can we achieve the BLoC pattern? We can achieve the BLoC pattern by the use of a stream. What is a stream? Just look at this schematic diagram. So stream is nothing but just like a pipe. So data sinks or inputs from one end of the stream or pipe, and it goes all the way through and comes out from the other side. So the data input is called data sink and data output is called data stream. We can also transform the value of the data in between sink and stream, but for the simplicity of this particular tutorial, I'm not going to use value transformers. So today we are just syncing in the data and streaming it out, and we're going to also trigger the function of the function a function using the stream so that our code architects according to the BLoC pattern. So let's get started. Let's jump to the code itself. So my code here, I have main.dart file, and here I have separated my home page in another homepage.dart file. So my home page is here, and my home page have two tabs. One is stream data tab and another is trigger logic tab. Let me show you in the emulator. So this is my app, and this is the first tab and this is the second tab. So in the first tab, stream just data, you can see there is an image and there are some text over here, and there are two buttons here. So on the click of the first button, tell them I'm going to change the value of those three dots to slim shady, and the click of the other button, I'm going to change it back to its previous state. So here it is defined here. Let me just, okay. So here, this is my stream data tab.dart. Here, all the file you see on the screen on tab 1 is defined here. So what I have done here is first I have created a string of name, and I didn't assign any value here, but I assigned a value to the name in the init state. So when the app runs, the first value of the name is dot dot dot. So here is the text widget in which I am displaying this variable name. On the click of that first button, this one, I'm changing the value of name from dot 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 to slim shady. And on the click of the another button, I'm going to change back the value of the variable name to dot 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 again. So in this first tab, all there that is going on is just changing of the data. The value is changed. But if you look at another tab, trigger logic and function tab, here you can see there is also a background image and some text written on it. And clicking of this button, I'm going to change not just the text here, but also the image here. But I'm not just doing it by changing the value of the variables. Instead, I created a function separately just to trigger this thing. So what is the name of the function? It's switch identity here. So on the tab of this button, inside the set state, I hit this function, switch identity. All right. So it is not architected yet according to the BLoC pattern, but now I'm going to show you how to do it. So first thing we do is we first go to the first tab, that is stream data tab.dart, in which we have defined everything we have about the first tab. Okay, so first thing we need to do is create a new folder inside your lib folder. So this is first step of your process. So I'm creating a new folder called BLoC, and inside this first folder, I'm sorry, I created a file. I'm going to delete it. The first thing I need to do is create a folder named BLoC. Inside this folder BLoC, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call it just data block.dart. So here I'm going to create a separate BLoC class which is going to act as a stream, which stream can support the transfer of the data. All right, so I'm going to name it, I'm going to create a class, I'm going to call it just data block, and here I'm going to create a variable and I'm going to name it just data controller, and it is of type, I'm assigning it a value of stream controller here, and I need to define its generic type. So here our data is going to be a string and string only, so I'm going to define here string. So you can notice one thing, that there are some blue curly lines below it, and it says close instance of Dart core sync. It means that it is needed to be closed or disposed, because it's going to continuously listen to the data, and it can cause memory leaks. And if it is beyond control, or if the app is more complex, then the memory leaks gonna cause your performance issue in your app. So how can we close it? Simple, we're gonna create a dispose method, dispose function, and inside its body I'm just gonna write name of this controller and check whether there is data, and then I'm gonna close it. Simple as that. So whenever you create a controller, a stream controller, you need to dispose it with this just simple one line code. All right. So we have created the first thing, that we have created a controller to control a stream. Now we need something to input the data. For that, we have to create a function, and it is going to be of type, it's going to take string, and we will write get here, and we will name this particular function as feed just data, and we're going to tell it to, we're just going to tell it to go to this controller, this just data controller, and use its sync functionality and add something. So I'm going to remove this part, and I'm just going to add semicolon. So this is function here. So it's going to take the data in. Then I'm going to create a stream which going to output the data. I'm going to define its type, which is going to be obviously string, and I'm going to write get here, and I'm going to name it. I'm going to name it stream just data, and I'm going to tell this that just take this controller and use its stream property. All right, so here our basic stream is created, where this is a controller that controls the stream, and this function is gonna add data to the stream, and this function gonna output the data out of the stream. All right, and we need to do one more thing. is we gonna initiate this just data block, the whole class we have created, so that we can use it as a global variable. All right, how can we do it? Just write the name of the class. And we have a name for the variable and assign its value. It's gonna be just data block. So here it is a global variable. So all we need to do is import this class to any Dart file, and we can access this whole class using this variable. All right. So let's just control S it. It's saved. And now I'm going to go to stream data tab. And here you can see I have init state. All right. We need to remove this thing. Let's go step by step. So first thing is that this text here, it displays the value of the name. So this is the widget that displays the value. So I'm just gonna cut it from here and I'm gonna replace it with a StreamBuilder. So what does StreamBuilder do? It gets subscription of the stream itself, and then it reads for the value, and when the value it gets updated, it changes its child widget according to that data. So it have a property called builder. So I have to define a builder, and this is how we define a builder. First of all, we have build I'm sorry build context here, and I'm gonna pass one more thing, that is a sync snapshot. My bad. Snapshot. I'm gonna name it snapshot, and then it has a body, and in the body we have to return the widget which we just cut from the code itself. And see here, this async snapshot is gonna hold the value of our stream, the data that is flowing through the stream. So how does this stream builder knows that which stream to be subscribe? So here is another property, it is called stream. Now here you have to tell the name of the stream which is needed to be subscribed. So first of all, we have to go up here and we have to import that particular Dart file. So it's block, it's just data block.dart. Now we go down here, the stream builder, and now we're gonna access it by the name we have created. What was the name we have created of the variable? It's just data block. So it's gonna be just data block, just data block, and then dot, and it's stream just data. So this is the stream which we have created in here. So now this stream builder knows which stream to follow. All right. So there would be a time when the stream has no data, and this would throw an error. So we should give it an initial data so that it starts smooth even before any data has been passed to it. So how we gonna do it? So we gonna go and in this property initial data, we're gonna assign the first value. So remember, the first thing we need to see in this app when it runs is 3 dots. So this should be our initial data. So we go in there and we assign this initial data here, and I'm going to hit Control S. So this is our stream builder, and we are not done yet. Instead of showing the value of the variable name, we are going to show here value of the data that has been stored in the snapshot. All right. So snapshot.data. All right, so we're gonna save it, and then I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna remove some unwanted things. So like init state is not required here anymore. So I'm gonna remove it, and string name is also not required here. So I'm gonna remove it too, and it shows an error. Okay, so on the click of the first button, the data was of the this variable was changed. So we have to remove it. We don't need to use set state here. I removed it, and instead of changing value of any variable, I have to just do is feed value in the stream so that it can show up on the UI on the front part of the screen. So how I'm gonna do it? I'm gonna access that global variable that is just data block. I have to just use the small letter here, and here I have to access its feed just data, and within these brackets I'm gonna add the value. So it's gonna be slim shady, this thing. And there is another also one more button on click of which it needs to be reverted back to those three dots. So I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna just copy and paste the same thing, the same global variable, same function, and instead of slim shady here, I'm gonna give it three dots, and I'm gonna hit Control plus S, and I'm gonna Alt Shift F to reformat the code if there is need of any. And then now I'm gonna go to the app. So here in the app, let me just make sure that everything runs fine. So I have to just restart the app. We are just waiting it for to be restarted. So I think, yeah, it's restarted now. So as before, it is the same three dots here. When I click on tell them, it shows slim shady. And when I click on this button, it goes back to three dots. It looks almost the same. Speed is same, but the thing is that here we are working with a very small amount of data, and the data is hard coded one. So it is very slow. The comparison between them, the difference between them is really negligible. So you cannot see that much of difference, but trust me, this thing improves your overall performance of your app when you work on something complex. And even on simple, it's good to have it. So this is the first page, and here I have shown you how to architect your block if you are just moving your data from one part to another, just a data. But what if you have to hit a function? When you are using a function, how would you do that? Let's go to the second tab, trigger logic or function. Here, you remember we have to change not just the text but also the background image like this. So for this I have created, let me just close all of these and let's just open this trigger logic tab.dart file. Here I have two variables, my name and my image path, and I have created a function to switch the values of the image and the text, the name which should be displayed here. And in the beginning I have no values in these strings, but on the init state I have assigned them some values. And in this app you can see here the text is showing the value of variable my name, and here on the press of this button the switch identity triggers. All right, so there should be also an image. Yeah, here I'm also sending the data of the path of my image, which is also needed to be changed. All right, so how I'm gonna do it? So first thing, it's gonna be a little tricky, and there are few steps added to it, and it's not as hard as it might sound right now, but it is very simple if you just figure it out how it's done. So that's why I'm here. So first thing first, if you have to pass a whole function through stream, then you have to create an event. For that, I'm going to this lib folder and I'm going to create another new folder. It's going to be called event. In this event folder, I'm going to create a file. It's going to be called event dot. All right. So when I start this event dot, I'm going to create an abstract class. Abstract class, and I'm going to name it event. And here is the body for the abstract class. So why I have created this abstract event class? Because this event abstract class is going to act as type of the data that is being passed through the stream. Let's get back to the image again. So instead of data, we are syncing in the function itself. So like here in the previous tab, here in the block, just data block dot, as we have defined here is string, now we are going to define it as event. All right. So I'm going to close it again so I don't confuse you anymore. So here we have created an abstract class event which is going to act as a type of data which passes through the stream. Then I'm going to create another class. I'm going to name it switch ID event, or I'm going to name it trigger switch ID, and it gonna extend that event class. All right. So why I have created this class? Because this class is gonna act as a trigger word. So when I submit this thing in the new stream which I'm gonna create, it's gonna trigger the function. So this is the first step, event dot. Now we are done with event dot. So we are going back into the BLoC folder and we're going to create another BLoC file. So here I'm going to create trigger logic block dot. So here I have created trigger logic block dot file, and I'm going to repeat the same things. First of all, I have to import that event dot file. So I'm gonna go just like this, and it's gonna not appear. So I'm gonna go to BLoC event dot here. So I have imported it. So now I'm gonna create a class, and I'm gonna call it trigger logic block, and inside its body I'm gonna define a controller, and I'm gonna call it trigger logic controller. I'm creating longer names just to clarify what they are going to be used for. So it's gonna be easy when you read my code on GitHub. All right. So it's gonna be a stream builder like before, and here I'm gonna give it type of event. You remember we have created it for the same purpose, and then I'm gonna create this, and the controller is being created here. And you remember that I told you that we have to dispose all of these controllers. So here inside the body of this dispose function, we're gonna just call name of the controller and check if it has data, then close it. What is saying? What is the problem? The method close is not okay. My bad. I should have written here controller. My bad. Just a stupid mistake. So now you can see it's closed here. And what is this package? Flutter widgets dot dart. No, I don't need this. All right. So here it is. Dart async. I don't need it as well. Because I have written something which I didn't need and it was there. Stream controller, what isn't defined for the trigger class. Stream controller dart async. My bad. I also need to import this dart async to access this stream controller. So please keep that in mind. So I have already created this stream controller, and now I'm gonna add a function that gonna sync data for this stream. So I'm gonna create a function which gonna take as input this event type, and I'm gonna name it. I'm gonna get it, and the name it's gonna be feed. No, it should be something like feed. Yeah, feed trigger. No, just trigger logic. It should be trigger logic. Trigger logic, or for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna write it sync trigger logic. All right. So sync trigger logic, and we're gonna tell it to go and take this controller, this trigger logic controller, and do what? Use its sync property and then add the value to it. So this is our function for that. Now I'm going to create a stream, and stream is going to be of type event, of course, and it's gonna get, and the name should be something like stream trigger logic. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna call this controller trigger logic controller, and we're gonna tell to use its stream property, and that's it. So we have already disposed it. So this is just the stream which we have created for it. So now the steps which are going to be different than the previous version, the just data block.dart, is this, that I'm going to go in this trigger logic tab.dart file where this function was created. So I'm going to cut it from here along with all the variables on which it is dependent, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to create it here, paste it here in the block file. So you can see here the strings are here and the function is here. But you remember that there was some initiation in the previous trigger logic tab.dart file. And the thing is that if anything is needed to be initiated, it should be initiated in the main file, the place where it was initiated. First it was created, where its components are, UI components, where it is needed to be displayed, on which Dart file it is needed to be executed. All right, but the thing is that my name is not defined here. All right, because we have moved the variables here. So what I will need to do is I'm going to import this trigger logic block.dart file here in trigger logic tab.dart. And we know how to do it. We're going to write import and go to block and trigger logic block.dart file. So now if we see here the my name here, I'm going to hit Control S. It's saved now. So my name, if I control and left click on it, it takes me to trigger logic block.dart file. So it is initiated here. All right. So now the next thing we need to do is go back to trigger logic block.dart file, and here is our function, and we have to create we have to initiate our class within its own class so that it can listen and submit this, listen to this function here. How are we going to do it? So before dispose and after the stream, we're gonna initiate our class with the same name, trigger logic block, and here inside it we're gonna use this stream which we have created, stream trigger logic. So it's gonna be stream trigger, okay, my bad, it's gonna be stream trigger logic dot listen on date. Instead of on data, we're gonna write here the name of the function itself, which is switch identity. Switch identity. I think I have spelled it wrong. It's switch identity of generic type D. Yeah. So it was all it was needed was writing here D. It's a generic type of dynamic D. All right. So this stream logic will listen this function. So now it knows when this stream is needed, this function is needed to be triggered. All right. Now, as before in the previous block file, we also need to create a global variable. So just in order to access these block files, these stream. So I'm going to write here trigger logic block, and I'm going to name it trigger logic block, and I'm going to assign it with trigger logic block with constructor, and we are done here. I just hit Control plus S, which means save the code. It's done. Here I see an error here in the trigger logic tab.dart. Let me see what it is. It says one argument expected. So the thing is that now in this file we need to make some changes. What changes? First of all, we do not need on press to call this function anymore. It's gone. We have deleted it. Instead, we have to access the block we have created and also need to access the trigger. So first of all, we have already imported the block file trigger logic block.dart. So instead of that on tab set state, I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna create trigger. Let me just check the name again. Trigger logic block. I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna paste it here. Block. And from this global variable, I'm gonna access to its stream. No, the feed thing. What was it? Sync trigger logic. And here inside these parentheses, these brackets, I'm gonna use the name which we have created, which we the name which we have initiated here, it is called defined here trigger switch ID. Remember I told you that this name is going to act as a trigger for this particular event. All right, so how we going to access it? We have to also import this file here in our trigger logic tab.dart. I'm going to close the block.dart to avoid any confusion. So I'm going to write import and I'm going to write block, no, not block, but event, and here event.dart. Control S. I'm going to scroll down. Here I have to now use the name which I have defined here in event.dart trigger switch ID. So I'm going to just write trigger switch ID and showing me these lines. Okay, so I'm going to hit Control plus S, and just to make sure that all of our changes have have been reflected in the app, we're gonna do hot restart. So here I have debug. Okay, so you can see there was an error, so it's gonna be back. So this error, it says bad state, stream has already been listened to. So what happened when I clicked on this tab and then I go back again, this page is initiated again, and the stream which we have created for the first tab, it is not a broadcast. It is for just one time streaming. So how are we gonna fix this? We're gonna go back to this just data block.dart, and here after we have assigned this stream controller and its generic type, we're gonna add dot broadcast. So broadcasts cast is same as a stream controller, but it can allow you to stream for multiple times the same data from the same stream. So if we go back here and we just hot restart it again, just wait for it. Yeah, it's restarted. If I switch tab back, it's gone. All right. So we have created block for this tab. So if I click on tell them, it's changing again. All right. So it's working as it was intended to, but now our code is architected according to the BLoC pattern, which is an industry standard, and it is a very good thing. And also, so so it is very easy, very simple. Everything is here in the separate folders: block, events, UI components, and everything. And you can find this code on GitHub if you have missed something, and if you want to look at every single code, so it's gonna be up there. And also in this app I have this fancy tab, so you can also check this code here on the git. I will upload this code on GitHub, and you can access it. And the thing is that if you like this video, if this video was a help to you in any ways, like that video, subscribe to my channel for more, and share it with your friends. And if you are interested in something like how to use Firebase, Firestore, or Google Map in our Flutter app, I also have another app, and it's on GitHub, and I'm going to give the link of that repository as well in the description. And also I will show its tutorial on the video itself after this video ends. So if you feel like you want to use it, go ahead, please go ahead. And also, if you are wondering about these icons, so icons like these, it is actually not a JPG or PNG, and also not SVG. Why not SVG? Because it is not officially supported yet in Flutter. So these are font icons. They are better than your JPG or PNG. You can change their color, you can resize them, you can make it as large as you want and as small as you want without compromising with its quality. And how you can do it, there is also a video, and there is also a repository for it, and I also have a link in the description, and after the end of this video you can also see that. And just follow me on the GitHub, star my repository if it helps you, fork it if you want. It might be helpful for you in the future. And good luck with your journey with the Flutter. And enjoy your life, man. Enjoy your life. And thank you for your time.